Uhuru, it's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be a part of this gathering and to share in the work that you're doing to help to liberate our people, free their minds, resurrect them, because many of them don't even know what's going on. So we're eager to be a part of the process of educating our people. And Charles has laid out much of what we've already done. So I'm going to ask if they would pull up the slides for how to beat the machine, and I'm going to get right to what it is that we have done. So we talk about beating the machine requires the masses coming to lend their support, the movement getting involved and talking about how we address the needs of the people. The media, how do you manipulate the media for your benefit so that you're not slaughtered by them? And the money, how do we get the finances to do that? So those are the 4 M's that we talk about: the masses, the movement, the media, and money. Next slide. Okay. What is the machine? The machine is the establishment. The machine are those forces that are already in place that want to perpetuate this capitalist system and keep people as oppressed and suck the resources out of the community for their benefit. So that's what the machine is. So when you're a part of the process of getting in, you're combating the machine if you're fighting for the people. If you're not compromising your core values, then you're fighting for the people and you're fighting against the machine, even though you're a part of the political system. So we talked about part two. Part three is the winter maneuvers, getting started. And the winter maneuvers is where you define what it is to win, talking about getting the seat, talking about winning particular precincts within the area, talking about increasing the awareness of people as to what is going on. You research your demographics, you find out where your strength is, where your political opponents are. You want to know, do you want to invest what kind of resources in those areas? Do you want to strengthen your base and build up your base and expand your base to bring out that vote? What are the seats that you can win? Which are the targeted seats that you can win? What are the resources that you can bring to bear to win the seats that you think are important and directly impact the people? Select your candidates and develop a campaign team. Candidates that you select should have some recognition in the community. They should have done some grassroots work, touching the needs of what the people have and expressing themselves, and done some organizing and brought resources in that regard. Your developing your campaign team is essential. You have to have a core team of people that are at call 24/7, basically 24/7. They may have a job, but still they've got to find ways to manipulate their time to be able to bring the resources to the campaign that are needed. We're going to have people who are going to be your campaign manager, your finance treasurer. The organizing team was going to coordinate the field work, the finance team that's going to assist the treasurer in getting all that work done. And we've got to make sure that we have a budget that is within your reach, a goal that extends what the resources are that you're going to need. Got to finance the structure of that, and we've got to open a bank account at a reputable bank that can handle the needs that the city campaign treasurer, the city campaign office is going to have as a requirement for you moving forward. Next. Got to register with the Board of Elections. You've got to begin campaign fundraising with people who know the candidate and people who know the team members, and using those people to reach out to others, to their neighbors, to people in the community, say, listen, this person has done this work, this sister's been involved, and she's pushing our people forward, she's working on our behalf, and we need you to get on board. So the candidate is not going to always be the one that's doing the touching, the reaching, the door knocking, but that team, those volunteers that are going to come because they believe in the work that the candidate has already done and have seen results for that, and we're going to make their message known to others. You got to develop a strategy, the platform, and the theme. We're as succinct as the platform can be. It highlights when they want to go in depth, that's great, that backup information, but it's got to be highlights. Thinking back to the Panther Party's 10-point program, it was succinct. The main point was in the opening statement, the opening sentence, and then there was further information. It's got to be identifiable, reasonable, understandable, and embraced by the people. Campaign literature. We've got campaign literature. We have cards that we develop. We pass these cards out. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of irritating. And we're going to also have paraphernalia. People like paraphernalia. So we have our paraphernalia with a message, succinct, in your face message. The literature has got to be quick, identifiable, your candidate's name, the message got to be there. So our message is, for this campaign, Charles Barron #1. And that's the message because we have ranked choice voting. So the message is Charles Barron #1. Our theme is unbought and unbossed. Something measurable, something memorable, and something that is reflective of the candidate. Set up protocol meetings with local community leaders. Your community leaders in terms of schools, in terms of block associations, in terms of your local organizations, all of that has got to be set up. And potential supporters in the district and outside of the district. Those are people that are going to lend their voice and lend their support. Expose the candidate through lip drops, through postering. Lots of posters go up in our community. We ask the vendors, listen, this is our candidate. You know what he's done. You know what she's done. Will you allow us to put the posters up? We don't put them in other posters on public utility poles and things of that nature, because you will be fined. And we had an excessive fine. I think it was $40,000 that they fined us. But we were able to validate the fact that, listen, we were engaging young people. We had people getting involved in politics, their civic duty, and we were able to evade having to pay that fine. Next, I'm going to go a little faster because I know my time is getting on the ballot. In New York, you've got to gather a designated number of signatures from people who live in that election district to qualify for the ballot. So you make an announcement, you get your petition drive. We do hit and miss, we do broad-based as well as targeted petitioning. So we'll get the book, go through the book, go to that person's name that's listed in the book, the voter's registration book, knock on their door and ask for their signature. We also do broad-based, targeted, untargeted, just broad-based solicitation of signatures at shopping malls, at train stations, and other things. Secure a lawyer. You need a lawyer to help you navigate this process, because if you miss a point or drop something that needed to have been given earlier at a deadline, you can be disqualified. You need a lawyer or someone with that legal experience to be able to follow the rules that are in the state election law and meet those deadlines. Open a campaign office. For us, that was a cost that we wanted to try to eliminate or reduce. So we have our campaign office on the first floor of our home. We have a home and the tenant moved out. And we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be dedicated for Operation Power and for the campaign. Increased fundraising efforts. In New York City, there's matching funds. So for every dollar that we receive from a resident in New York City, the campaign office will match it with $8 if we meet certain requirements and criteria in reporting the money. Increase candidate exposure efforts, recruit volunteers. And volunteers are critical for us because we don't have an unlimited bottomless pit. You know, the machine does, because they can pull money from other sources and have people contribute to the candidate in that regard, but we don't. So we have to secure as many volunteers as we can. On the day of the election, we do pay people. We do pay people who have been working to support this, and secure funds for a full-time manager and staff. We pay the manager once we have qualified for the ballot and once we know, okay, this campaign is full-fledged ahead. Thank you. Next page. Getting out the vote. You've got to organize a mailing strategy. which is the literature similar to the brochure that Charles showed you he had done for his office work. We do a same type of literature preparation and we mail it out professionally. We have it drawn up and we have it done by a mail house because we're sending it to tens of thousands of voters and we don't want to miss the boat. Door to door wins the war. That means knocking on designated doors to get petition signatures. And then once you're getting out the vote, knocking on those doors, even though the people may not have been pre-registered, to let them know there is an election coming, there is a candidate. One of the strange things that happens is that 2 days, a day or two after the election, people say, I'm going to vote for you. Great, but the election was yesterday, the day before. You can't be too repetitive in getting out your message. So another event that we do is we give out literature and we have pens that we give out. I don't know if you can see it, which remind people to vote and to give them the date and to tell them the theme that we have. So all those kinds of paraphernalia are supportive of getting out the vote. Organize special events, develop housing rallies in housing developments or wherever there's a large congregation of people. We used to also go to the train stations and, as I said, block by block. Next page. Sunday services, we go to Sunday services, and let people know that we're running. We do always check with the pastor to let him know that we would like to be there so that we don't have any conflict. There's some churches that we don't go because we have a different kind of philosophy, but that's okay. And we want to increase our media exposure at all times. We want to recruit endorsers, those political organizations that understand who you are and what you stand for and will encourage their membership and their those that they work with to vote for you. And then organize the election day, get out the vote strategy. On the day of the election, it's a full force. This is it. This is it. Nothing else can be done. You got to get out all of your troops to get out the vote that you're looking to get to be successful and be a winner. And this is just a chart of some of the elections that we've had. You can see we have the listing of the candidate, the office that we were seeking, and where it says primary vote, that was the vote that the candidate received, and we list the leading opponent. And you can see generally they are decisive victories. And in New York City, if you're a Democrat, if you win the primary, the general is a foregone conclusion. You don't need to really worry about that. So that I think wraps up the strategic points that we wanted to raise. And we want to encourage you to get on board, identify those candidates that represent your group, give them the support, look for people who are not going to compromise and cave in because they're given trinkets, because they're given a promise of support, because they're thinking that they're going to go up the ladder by just doing what the party bidding is. So that's that presentation. Thank you so much, and having a great convention, a great school training, and we look forward to working with you more in the future.
I want to thank Inez for that presentation. And this is what we do every election. And I want to add that that chart you saw on victories, we whipped the machine. We didn't just win the election. We wiped out the machine in East New York. The machine had all of those positions before we ran. They had the district leaderships, male and female. They had the assembly, they had the council, they had the community board, they had the district leadership positions. They had all of that. And when we ran, I won the city council. Inez ran a few years later, won the assembly. Inez then ran for the female district leader and won. I ran for the male district leader and won. We wiped out the community board, that the machine had all the community board members, 50. We have them now. We won the district delegates. We won the county committee seats. We won all of that. And the machine's local Democratic Party does not exist as it once was anymore. So now they're trying to revive it with Sambos like Hakeem Jeffries and other Black elected officials that are coming against us. Inez retired from that part of the struggle, and so they got the assembly seat back, but we still have my council seat, and I'm still the district leader, and we're working on Karan Allen and
Yep.
others so that we could win the assembly seat back and someone can take my place down the line. Uhuru, straight ahead, our victory is certain.